Okay, today we're going to start with Mem, Mem Gimel Amid Beis. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mem Gimel Amid Aleph. It's 43A, Taner Rabbanan. There's a few Taner Rabbanans here, so you got to go down to, must be about 18 lines from the bottom. It says, Hakol Chayavim B'tzitzit. That make sense? Okay. Thank Hashem that they're able to learn Torah every day. Supposed to be learning, we should have the basic English. Okay. You see that? 43A? Thank you. Okay.
What you said, didn't you say 42A?
43. Is this the right book? Yeah. It should be like a squiggle. It says it's a new thing. This is Taner Rabbanan. Yeah, this must be it. Taner Rabbanan. Okay. It says like this. Taner Rabbanan started in the Brisa. Kol chayavim b'tzitzis. Everyone is obligated to wear tzitzis. Kayanim, Leviim, the Israelim, yeah, priests, Levites, Israelites, Gerim, converts, Nashim, women, and Avadim, and slaves. Any surprises yet? Surprises yet? The women and slaves have to wear tzitzis. I never saw that in my house. Reb Shimon Paiter ben Hashim. Reb Shimon exempts the women from tzitzis. Why? Because it's a positive command that's time bound. Any time constraint positive command that you can only do it on this day, or you can only do it right. All of those women are exempt from. The same one applies to slaves. Reb Shimon says they're pater, and the Tanakama, the Rabbanan say that they're chayiv. It's machlekes if women are chayiv, and this fits well with the Gemara that we learned last week, where it says Rav Yehuda put tzitzis in his wife's garment. Yeah, and why did he do that? Because he held like the Rabbanan that holds that women are chayiv and tzitzis. Okay, Amar Mar, the master taught kolchem b'tzitzis kainim l'miyim Yisraelim. The priests, the Kayanim, the Levites, and Israelites, everyone's chayiv and tzitzis. The Gemara says pshita. Of course, they're chayiv and tzitzis. The Kayanim Leviim Yisrael Patiri man lechayiv. Who else would be chayiv if not for Kayanim Leviim Yisraelim? In other words, you're telling me basically that the Jewish people are chayiv and tzitzis. Like, who's chayiv and tzitzis? The Jewish people. So of course, if there's a mitzvah of tzitzis, it's the Jewish people. So Kayanim Levi Yisraelim, there's no chiddush. That's all. That's everyone. If they have the four corner in the garment, then they have. Mari answers Kayanim it's shichlei. Actually, there is a chiddush here. The fact that Kayanim are chayiv and tzitzis is a chiddush. Sal kadait chamina could have entered your mind. We have a juxtaposition of two verses. One says, "Don't wear shatnez, wool and linen together." And the pasuk next to it says that you should have tzitzis. And we learn from that tzitzis is allowed to be shatnez, right? That the shatnez, that the tzitzis overrides the shatnez. So we could have understood like this. Mandala yeshtri klayim legabe belavisha hu demechayev betzitzis. One that is not allowed to wear shatnez has the obligation of tzitzis. Hani kayanim, but kayanim hayel vishtri klayim legabe lelachayve. Since they're allowed to wear shatnez, kayanim, because in their belt there's shatnez. Or in the Kohen Gadol's garments, there's other shatnez, but in the Kohen Hedyot, the belt is shatnez. So if we're thinking that maybe the obligation of tzitzis are only for those people that are prohibited to have shatnez, and the tzitzis overrides it. But the concept is that those that have the prohibition of shatnez have the commandment of tzitzis. Those that don't have the prohibition of shatnez don't have the commandment of tzitzis. We would think that maybe the Kainim are exempt. Mashmalan, so it comes to teach us, the concept is correct that only those that have shatnez would have the law of tzitzis. The only thing is, Kainim also have the law of shatnez. Why? It says although that while they're doing the service, they're allowed to wear the shatnez, but they actually have the rules of shatnez if they're not doing the avodah, which means that they're chayav in tzitzis. And as I had a havamina here that they should be exempt from tzitzis because they're exempt from the shatnez, comes along the Gemara, the Brisa, it says they're only exempt from shatnez during the service, but not out of the service time, and therefore they have to wear tzitzis. That's the chiddush.
Using the exception, the shatnez type of their garments, then they wouldn't have the exception for them. Tzitzis all the time.
Right. Reb Shimon Feiter ben Noshim. Brisa said, yeah. Reb Shimon Feiter ben Noshim. Again, this thing clicks. Okay. It's clicking. And back it snaps into place. Okay. Reb Shimon Feiter ben Noshim. Reb Shimon says that women are exempt from tzitzis. My time, the Reb Shimon. What's the reason for Reb Shimon? The Tanya was started on a brisa. The reason I say says that you should see it. Prat l'ksus laila. You would see them. You would see it. So this is telling me that you only have to be chayav in tzitzis by day, but pajamas, night clothing, does not require tzitzis. That tells me that it's mitzvah saseh shazman grama. If you only obligated in tzitzis by day, not by night, that means it's time bound, and then women would be exempt. Ata imer prat l'ksus laila, where it elaborates. It says you say that it's coming to exclude night clothing. Maybe it's coming to exclude a blind person because it says you will see it. Maybe someone that's blind is exempt from tzitzis. It says the pasuk says Gedilim tas al arba kanfes suscha shetachasaba. You should put fringes on the four corners of the garment that you cover yourself with. Now, when you cover yourself, that means that even a blind person covers himself, so that would be inclusive. So we have included the blind person. So what do we do with the Risa Maisai that says that you will see it, that would be excluding? So it says Prat l'ksus laila, that's excluding the night clothing. So I have two options. See, I have Risa Maisai, which excludes something that's not visible, and then I also have an inclusion that you cover yourself with. That would include everything. Now I have two options. I could either include night clothing because it says you cover yourself, and I could exclude the blind person because it says visible, right? You can't see it. Or I can do it the opposite. I can exclude night clothing and include the blind person. I don't know if I said that both the same way. Okay, whatever the case is, those can go either way. So the Gemara asks, what made you choose? What made you had a choice here? You could have included this and excluded that, or included that and excluded this. So what made you choose to include the blind person and to exclude the night clothing? The Gemara says, well, it's just logical. See, the blind person's clothing, everyone else can see it, so it still goes under the category of seeing it. But the night clothing, no one can see it because it's at night. Light a candle. But whatever the case is, That would be the one that would be more logical to exclude, because it's less visible than the blind person's clothing. Took them in. What do you mean? Oh, Hill is asking a question. So why do we tuck it in? That's a whole discussion. It's a big discussion about tucking it. I'm not going to exhaust that today, but there's a discussion. That's why them. But again, it's machlekes and a lot to talk about it. Okay. Okay, Rabbanan. Yeah.
The chassids, they wear
The garment outside, right?
the tzitzit on the outside.
Right. Okay, in the Rabbanan, they say that tzitzis is not time bound. That means you always have to wear tzitzis, even at night. What do they hold? So they say Hayashet Chasaba Mayaptilite. It's interesting that we jumped to this. See, really, what I was expecting Gemara to ask first would be, Hay Uri Isa say Mayaptilite. What do they do with that? It's about visible, but the Gemara jumps to the other one. And what the explanation here is that why did they need a pasuk to include the blind person that he's chayav in tzitzis? If you're obligated in tzitzis by night, then we wouldn't have any reason to exclude the blind person. So what is he doing with including the? Well, you don't even need to include the blind person. There's no reason for that pasuk. And then afterwards we'll get back to Risim. I said. So what does he do with this pasuk that's totally not necessary? The pasuk that includes the blind person. He needs it for the Rabbana need it for the following brisa. It says alarba kanfis ksuscha, 4 corners of your garment. Arba v'lei shalish. That pasuk is coming to tell me that 4-corner garment is chayiv and tzitzis, but if there's 3 corners, you're going to be exempt. Arba v'lei shalish, arba v'lei chamish. Maybe it works very specific that it needs to be 4 corners, but if the garment had 5 corners, you would be exempt also. No one's suggesting that you put 5 tzitzis on. We're just suggesting that on a 5-cornered garment, 4 of those corners would require tzitzis. Right. Maybe because it says al arba kanfis. So the Gemara says, the Brisa says, Kishuayim asher techaseba, when the pasuk says that you cover yourself, harei balas chameshamer. So we included, that's a more inclusive term, anything that you can use to cover yourself. So we're including a garment that has 5 corners as well. That 4 of those corners would be chayiv and tzitzis. The Gemara asks the same thing we asked on the beginning of the brisa. You had a choice here. You could have included this and excluded that. You could have you included that and excluded this. So why do you choose to exclude the 3-cornered and to include the 5-cornered? The Gemara says, Mar bani, I made that choice because the pasuk of Asher Techasaba would be including balas chamesh, because included in the 5 is the 4. When it says on the 4 corners of your garment, that's more excluding the 3 corners than it's excluding the 5 corners, because in the 5 corners there's also 4 corners. So that could still be inclusive. But in the 3 corners, you don't have the 4 corners. So therefore, we excluded the 3-corner garment. Now, for Reb Shimon, he would probably hold of the same thing, that a 5-cornered garment is chayiv and tzitzis, and a 4-cornered garment is not. But nevertheless, the pasuk that the Rabbanan used, Asher Techasaba, he already used it to tell me that it's including the blind person. So how does he know the 4 corners is only 5, includes 5 and not 3? The Gemara explains, Reb Shimon Asher me Asher nafka. He learns it from the word Asher. There's an extra word Asher. For Rabbanan, Gemara says Asher le mashmalu. The Rabbanan don't learn from the word Asher. They think that it's not considered extra. But the way this usually works when we're doing these drushes, so we have a machlekes, and it comes down into like one fine point in the word. Do they darshan from this word? Do they not darshan? They make the machlekes smaller, and then at the end the Gemara says they think that this word or this letter is considered extra. They think it's not, and therefore that's the machlekes. Okay. For Rabbanan, they said, this was our original question. The Rabbanan hold that you tchayv and tzitzis at night. So what do they do with the reason? I say you should see it. High reason I say what do they do with that? The tzitzis should be visible. They need it for something that was taught in a brisa. It says reisa is chartim. You should see the tzitzis and remember. Rei mitzvah zu is l'char mitzvah acher satlo yibay. You should see this mitzvah, and you should remember another mitzvah that's dependent on it, on the mitzvah of tzitzis. Which mitzvah is that? Ve'zu, zu. Which mitzvah is that? Zu, kriya shema. This is referring to the shema. The Tanan, as it was taught in a Mishnah, me'emasai keren shema b'shachris. When do you recite the shema? Mishayaker ben tchelas lelavan. When you can see the difference between the blue strings and the white strings of the tzitzis. So that's when you chayiv and shema. So you see the tzitzis, and remember, it's time to say Shema. That's what the Rabbanan are going to learn from Uri Isim, I say, who's a chartim. Yeah? Not that it's excluding the nighttime, it's coming to remind you to say Shema. If you have to wear the tzitzis at night, and there's absolutely no reference to anything about excluding that it's excluding something that's not visible.
Can't they use the upstairs so they can cover yourself, the night cover yourself, for the to be
And that was the Gemara's question. First question was maybe Ashet Chasaba should be including the nighttime and not excluding and not including the blind person. That's the Gemara's question. Gemara said no, we'd rather include the blind person because other people can see it. That was in that option. And Gemara offered that option, but rejected it. Okay, so far we had a brisa that says, besides for the machlekes about tzitzis at night, which would obligate women in tzitzis, we have a brisa that says that Kriya Shema is dependent on the mitzvah of tzitzis. Tani Yidach, we have another brisa that says the Risa Meisah is chartim. You should see the mitzvah, you should see the tzitzis and remember. Rei mitzvah zu is char mitzvah acher sasmuchala. You should remember a mitzvah that's right next to it. And zu mitzvahs kalayim. This is referring zu which mitzvah is next to zu mitzvahs kalayim. Mitzvah of shatnez t'ksiv leisil b'shatnez term b'shniach t'gliyam tasala. So the mitzvah of tzitzis reminds you to be careful about shatnez. All right. There should have been a Gershon here that says that tzitzis itself would make you forget the mitzvah of shat. And so therefore it tells you they have to remember it. That's another brisa that's coming up. So far we didn't learn that brisa. Yeah. Tani Yidach. Another brisa says the reason my says chartim is kol mitzvahs Hashem. The brisa says you should see it and you should remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem. Kivin shem chayiv on the mitzvah zu. Once you chayiv in this mitzvah, which means once the sun comes out, the chayiv b'chol mitzvahs kulan. Chayiv in all the mitzvahs. Now, kol mitzvahs, Rashi says, lishnach rina. When a person is chayiv in tzitzis, which means he's 13 years old, then he's chayiv in all the other mitzvahs. Yeah, so there's two ways of learning this brisa. It doesn't mean the morning, it doesn't mean 13. Okay, we still didn't get to the one that the Hill was referring to. Reb Shimon, and it's referring to Reb Shimon, the Amar mitzvahs aseh man gramahi. Oh, so how could that be? Just how does Rashi's pshat? Second pshat. Very good. According to Rashi's second shot, you do it like this. Very interesting. The Gemara, the Gemara is explaining the brisa that it says that you should see this mitzvah and remember all the mitzvahs, because when a person is chayiv in the mitzvah of tzitzis, then he's chayiv in all the other mitzvahs. If you say let's go back. We had two pshatim. One is once you're chayiv and tzitzis in the morning, and all the other mitzvahs of the day, you're chayiv. You say that's the opinion of Reb Shimon that says at night you're exempt, and by day you'll be chayiv. Okay. But then there's another pshat in Rashi that once you're chayiv in the mitzvah of tzitzis, then you're chayiv in all the other mitzvahs. Once you become bar mitzvah, then you're chayiv in all. So, and it says it's Reb Shimon. What's that have to do with Reb Shimon? Reb Shimon only said about nighttime. No, it's Reb Shimon, because if it wouldn't be Reb Shimon, then it would be also talking about women. That once a person is chayiv in tzitzis when they're 13, let's say the women are 13, maybe 12, I don't know, they're chayiv in tzitzis. And once they're chayiv in tzitzis, they're chayiv in all the other mitzvahs. But it's not true. Women aren't chayiv in all the other mitzvahs. There's so many mitzvahs that they're not chayiv in. So we say it's Reb Shimon that says that a man that's 13, he's chayiv in this mitzvah of tzitzis, he's also chayiv in all the other mitzvahs, that's only for a man. But the woman that would be chayiv in tzitzis, if it would be the Rabbanan, that would not be chayiv in all the other mitzvahs. Because just because she's chayiv in tzitzis, that's because tzitzis is not time-bound. But all the other mitzvahs that are time-bound, the Rabbanan would agree that she's exempt. So this brisa wouldn't fit. So that's what we said. It's Reb Shimon. Very interesting. Yeah. That's the big time for all the commandments by the day. So the commandments at night is not chayiv. I don't know, tefillin, Kriya Shema, I don't know. Right?
Whatever it is that we're allowed to do, we're hiding.
That's why we're saying all. Yeah? Honest. Well, the obligation is still there. You know, if someone has to do it, someone has to bring it. Right? Tanya Yidach, we have another brayse. Risa Meishes Chadam Skolm Mitzvah Hashem Shkulam Mitzvah Kneged Kol Mitzvah Skulam. Because this mitzvah is equivalent to all the other mitzvahs. Now, over here, Rashi says that tzitzis is the gematria of 600. The 5 knots plus the 8 strings is 13. It equals 13. Shkula, Rashi is saying shkula means equivalent. Sounds like what Rashi means is that it's equivalent in gematria. I would have thought shkula meant you do this mitzvah, it's as if you did the whole Torah. Sounds like Rashi is saying it's shkula means it's equal in number. But it sounds like at least that's a second shot in Rashi. Ba'id, Rashi said. I'm sorry? Oh yeah, I would have thought it's like, yeah, it's just learn it. Well, that's not exactly. It says Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. That doesn't have to mean that it's corresponding to all the other ones. Keneged Kulam could mean each of them. I don't know what the pshat is Keneged Kulam. Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam means Talmud Torah is equivalent to all the other mitzvahs, or it's Keneged Kulam. Each of them, Talmud Torah could outweigh each of them. Okay, yeah, I could read that in 2 ways. Anyway, those would say from the Gra that you go to heaven, they're gonna say like ask you about the mitzvahs. Said that in this world, since the mitzvah of tzitzis costs just a few cents, they cost a lot, $40. But those days it was just strings. People made their own tzitzis. They didn't buy them ready-made. And they got a piece of cloth. They cut a piece of cloth themselves and they cut a hole in it. So it was a piece of cloth, like a large handkerchief, and put tzitzis in it, and put the strings in. Just a few kopecks, as they said. They said for a few pennies you get the Eilam Haba. Things are on sale in this world. There's a big sale. Everything is cheap. Okay. Tanya Idach, we have another brayse. It says, It says, you should see them and remember, and you should do. So you see the 3 expressions here? See, remember, do. Seeing the tzitzis bring you to remembering. Zechira maybe l'de'asiyah. And then the remembering brings you to fulfill. Reb Shimon ben Yochai Yaimer, Reb Shimon Yochai. Before we were just saying Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon is also Reb Shimon Yochai. Reb Shimon Yochai is probably from before the cave. Reb Shimon maybe is after the cave. Anyone that's careful to fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzis, he merits to receive the face of the Shekhinah. Now, I at first when I was reading this, I said, Re'isem in Tira, those are different shirashim. Ra'a is to see is Reish Aleph Hey, and Tira is Yud Reish Aleph. It's not even the same shirish. I see that's not the pshat. It's a comparison from the word Isai. Re'isem Isai. You will see it. And over there it says Isai Savaid, and it you should serve, which means him you should serve. So that word Isai, which is referring to tzitzis, that pronoun Isai, that pronoun is used for the Shekhinah. It says you would see it. Based on this context of what Isai means, it means that you're going to see the Shekhinah, receive the Shekhinah. We're comparing the pronoun Isai. Sorry?
So the Shekhinah is down here in Malchut with us.
Okay. That's right. Shekhinah is Malchus. Tan Rabbanan, very good. We have our local Kabbalist, David. Okay. Chaviv in Yisrael, we start in a brisa. Chaviv in Yisrael, shesivavan HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'mitzvahs. How beloved is Israel that Hashem surrounded them with mitzvahs. What are the mitzvahs that we're surrounded with? Tefillin b'rashayim, we have tefillin on our heads. Tefillin b'zrayim, we have tefillin on our arms. Tzitzis b'bigdayim, we have tzitzis on our clothing. And mezuzah l'pischayim, we also have a mezuzah on our doorpost. So if you count these out, how many mitzvahs did we have? The head, the hand, that's 2, right? Now we're saying that there's 4 tzitzis. That it's a total of 6. We never learned that the 4 tzitzis, each one was an independent mitzvah, but over here we're counting it like that. And then there's a mezuzah. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So this is referring to Alei Amar David. David said regarding this, Sheva bayayim hilalticha al mishpatei tzidkecha. 7 by day I praise you over your laws, over your righteous laws. Yeah. So these are the mitzvahs. It's praising Hashem. David went into the bathhouse. Saw himself that he was standing naked. Amar, I don't have any mitzvahs. I'm just alone here without any mitzvahs. When he sees that he has a bris, his mind got settled. After he went out, Amar Allah Shira, he said a song, a song on the 8th, a song of David. Al Mila Shinit Mishmini. What's the meaning? 8? Bris Mila, which is performed on the 8th day. Okay. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says, "Kol sheyesh li tefillin b'reisha, tefillin b'zrei tzitzis bigdem mezuzah bischei hakol b'chizak shalayachta." Someone has tefillin on his head, tefillin on his arm, and tzitzis, and a mezuzah, so he could be confident he's not going to sit. Shneimar b'chuta mishul shlibim heri yanatik. These 3 mitzvahs, tefillin, tzitzis, and mezuzah, doesn't break easily. That the angel of Hashem camps around him, around those that fear him, and protects them. Just take a look. There have some commentaries on the story with David. Page 8, and give a little base. Okay, there's some interesting comments there. One comment that they're saying is obviously you're allowed to wear tzitzis in the bathroom. How'd we get that? Because David was in the bathroom all the time, right? We never find that he said, "Oh yeah, I don't have." There's not wearing his tefillin. There's no mezuzah. We don't find that in the bathroom. He said, "Oh yeah, I don't have any mitzvahs." Why? Because he was wearing tzitzis in the bathroom. It means you're allowed to wear tzitzis in the bathroom. No, the story. Why didn't he say, "Oh, I have a bris"? Why only say it in the bathhouse, not in the bathroom, right? because over there he took off the tzitzis. The story, but it's the proof that you're allowed to wear tzitzis in the bathroom.
That's two quick questions.
I just wanted to comment, make one more comment.
It's always there, it's just covered.
A second. The one more comment that I want to make is that there's also a raya that you have to sleep with tzitzis. Because why did David only say this in the bathhouse? Why did David only say this in the bathhouse? He could have said it every night. You don't wear tefillin when you sleep. Now, 1 second. It's not a good raya because there's a mezuzah. There's a mezuzah in the bedroom. Yeah, it's a Magen Avraham quotes us. Yeah, it's not a strong raya. They have to sleep with tzitzis. Anyway, the custom is, and the Mishnah Berurah brings also to sleep with tzitzis. Yeah, what did you want to say?
Two quick questions. One, because we're mentioning gematrias a lot, and just you mentioned number 7, this and that. I mean, these numbers are all very important, and they come from the way the word is written in the Torah, no? So why do we keep on saying tzitzis are always 613? Because it's not, there's no 2 U's in tzitzis. So the number we're counting is wrong.
Right. We mentioned this in passing earlier. Dr. Stein's question is that tzitzis is only 590, not 600, because it's missing a yud in the Torah. We said the Ramban asked this question.
What was the answer, though?
We gave litzitzis. There's one place where it says there's a lamed, which fills in the extra 3 times it says tzitzis, that it's 10 for each. That's one pshat. There's another pshat. Taisa's question.
Jacob's ladder. So we can give this up.
The one teretz is that you follow the way it's pronounced, not the way it's written. And it's pronounced tzitzis.
Okay.
Not tzitzas.
Yeah. I just never.
Satisfactory?
Yeah. The other thing is, you look at the Kohen Gadol, and we just learned, it describes all his begodim. Where's the tzitzis that he wears?
So he actually doesn't wear tzitzis. In the Gemara.
So how will we have the Gemara? We're talking about.
One second. You're asking Taisa's question. The Gemara asked before. We said Akol Chayim b'tzitzis, Chayim Levim Yisraelim Ger. We said, of course, Kainim are Chayiv and Tzitzis.
Yeah. So
we said, I could have thought Kainim are not, because Kainim are allowed to wear shatnez because in their belt. So Kamash Malan that they're still Chayiv and Tzitzis, even though they still have shatnez. However, one of the commentaries says, Minchas Chinuch asks, that the Kayin on his Me'il didn't have Tzitzis. Gemara could have said, that the Kainim, I could have thought they're pater from tzitzis because the Kain Gadol doesn't wear tzitzis on his meal. It's a raya that they're pater from tzitzis. Right? Your question. Dr. Stein and the Minchas Chinuch. They asked the same question. So he answers, he says that the big dekuna are pater from tzitzis because they don't belong to the Kain. They belong to Hekdesh. So if that's the case, so talis she'ula, borrowed talis is exempt from tzitzis, right? That's why you borrow a talis, it's always matana manas la'achzer, just like by the lulav.
Earlier on, when we asked the question, is tzitzis chayav on the gavra or the beged?
Right.
What was our answer then?
We hold on the gavra.
So if you hold on the gavra, then what gets the kohanim off the hook?
Oh, because even if the mitzvah is on the gavra, but it still has to be yours. It has to be yours. Yeah. If it's not yours, then you're exempt. Talis she'ula.
Sounds more zen.
Did you just say that the Kohen Gadol didn't own the clothes that he wore for the avoda?
Yeah, that's the teretz that they're giving. Comparable to a talis she'ula.
It was on.
Did we learn that the Kohen Gadol owned it? No, I think we actually learned that it was hektish, considered hektish.
Well, some of it has to be like the tzitz, I would think.
Right. Does he own the tzitz? I don't know. It sounds like it's hektish. If that's the case, if it's hektish, then he's putter from tzitzis. Okay.
Sorry to make you.
Yeah, does that make sense, Rabbi Naftali?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
Tanya, not in a brisa. Oh, you're a Meir Omer. Meir would say, "Manastana tchelas." Call me nitzavainim. Why did Hashem command us to use tchelas? Or he could have used any other color. Tchelas, excuse me, Yam. It's comparable to the sea. Now, when it says comparable to the sea, Rashi throws in here that the sea is a lot of miracles were performed for the Jewish people on the sea. And Biyam Daimler Rakia, and the sea is comparable to the sky, the color of the sky. Rakia Lakisia covered. And the Rakia is comparable to the Kisia covered. Taisus takes out the Kisia covered. He says just as comparable to the sapphire. And what does that mean? That the throne was comparable to sapphire, which is blue. Yeah.
Aquamarine.
Is that the word that we use there? Aquamarine?
When before, when we were talking about,
Okay, I was saying blue. I'm sorry, it's
I
aquamarine.
think that's what they
Some
said.
places it says turquoise.
Turquoise. Okay.
You know what's interesting? When you look at the ocean, and especially from the beach, you could see 3 different colors of blue.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah,
But
the
that's-
deeper it gets.
But that's
No. It's not, it doesn't have, well, yeah, it's the bottom, but it doesn't have to do with the bottom. It has to do with the depth of the water.
Yeah,
No,
the deeper it is,
the deeper it is, the more blue
it
it is. It doesn't. It's not because you're seeing the bottom. Well,
no, it's because when you go deeper, it's like grass and stuff. That's why like it has a dark bottom. When you drive on the turnpike, you see some lakes that are green, and it's just because they dumped a lot of sand in.
no, it's not the sand. It's not the sand of the grass. It's how deep. It means when you see the greener, it has to do because the water is not as deep. If it would be deeper, then it would be blue.
And there's sand underneath.
And the sand underneath, but that doesn't. That's not the idea. The idea is the depth of the water.
You go out on the ocean cruise, in the middle of the ocean.
The sand underneath.
Blue. I mean, it's way down.
Yeah, but it has to do with the depths of the water. You go to Crater Lake, Oregon. There's a
It's like
volcano.
deep in the sand.
Volcano that's left a crater, and in there is water 2,000 feet deep. Like you see a blue like you never saw before. It's like unbelievable.
Usually you see the dark blue is like
Sunlight
80
turns
feet.
dark.
Uh-huh. But but you're looking at.
It's more than 80 feet.
No, he's saying how far he went at a certain point. It was 80 feet. But what happens is the light from the sun refracts. When it hits the atmosphere, it refracts. So all of the colors end up going into the outer space. And the blue color is the only one that ends up being on the atmosphere. That reflects down on the water. The water reflects that blue. The deeper the water, the bigger a reflection you're going to get. So it's the light of the blue is light of the sun from the atmosphere. That's all the other colors end up.
So is the blue coming from the sky or is blue coming from the ocean?
Blue's coming from the sky.
When the hill
The
is
sky's getting it from the sun. You know,
From the sun or from the sun's refraction off the ocean?
No, the sky is getting it from the refraction in the atmosphere. The atmosphere refracts and so all the colors, the Roy G. Biv end up, and that we only end up with the blue coming that's in the
because the
sky.
spaceships that we shoot up, once they get past our atmosphere, they're in black space.
Yeah, so where those colors are, you're not seeing them. You're not seeing them unless they're hitting something. You're not seeing. Okay.
At night, you see the beautiful blue all turn black. Middle of the ocean is black.
But you don't see colors.
So is this stuff about
Okay.
light, sun, and ocean, is this in the
You don't
Gemara?
have cones,
Because
you
here
don't
it says
have
it's
cones,
comes
you
from
don't
the
have
ozone,
cones.
Yeah, that's
And
the same thing.
and that it's a clear secretion When it's exposed to sunlight, it turns dark purple, and then after processing, dark
Oh, you're
blue.
talking about the chilazon. Okay, 1 second. We're not there yet. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, I get it. Tanya, starting in a brisa. The punishment of neglecting putting the white strings in the tzitzis is a bigger punishment than putting the tchelis in. What is this comparable to? Let's say there was a king, told his two servants. One of them, he says, bring a seal made out of clay. They had but a seal, but here it says that it was going to be used to put a mark on an animal or on a slave that says that he belongs to him. And one he says, bring a seal of gold. They both neglected. And they didn't bring it. Who has the bigger punishment? The one that had the easier job has the bigger punishment. I didn't even tell you what's like something complicated. All he has to do is get me some clay. And that you couldn't do. So the same thing is the punishment of not doing the white part of the tzitzis is a bigger punishment than for not doing the tchelas. Tchelas is harder to come by.
The other guy
Tanya,
could have just gone to the supermarket and picked up some flour. Gold seal.
Gold seal. Okay.
That was bad.
Tanya, Hayer Meir. The mayor would say, so far this is our third Hayer Meir. The mayor would say, Chayvan levarich meya brachas b'chol yom. Person's obligated to say 100 brachas every day. Shenemar, Bati Yisrael ma Hashem alekecha she'el mimach. Now, Israel, what does Hashem ask from you? It uses the word ma. It says what? Ma means what? So, yeah, Gemara explains that it means meya. Reb Chia Breder Rav Avia b'Shabbat b'Yom Tavei. Reb Chia, the son of Rav Avia, on Shabbos and on Yom Tovim, where we don't have the Shemoneh Esrei of 18 brachas or 19 brachas, you have a Shemoneh Esrei of 7 brachas, you're going to be missing 11 brachas or 12 brachas every from every Shemoneh Esrei. That's going to be 36 brachas. There's a lot to make up. So he would tarachum amalelahu bispamarki bisparmake umagdi. He would make it up with besamim and other types of spices, other types of delicacies. Say extra brachas.
The 100 corresponds, if I'm mistaken, to the sockets in the Mishkan.
Oh,
There were
interesting.
100, yeah, so it's like a Sulim Mikdash. If you make 100 brachas, it's like you build a Mishkan. It's said in the Mikras Kedalos, but I think the Baal Torah, one of those commentaries.
Like the sign is adding, very nice, that the Adanim of the Mishkan, the sockets, the silver sockets, correspond to the 100 brachas. Wow. Tanya. The word tzaddik had 90 something, 100, 4 something else, 10 something else, and kuf was the amains. Is that 100 amain? Okay. Tanya, Hayer Meir, the fourth Hayer Meir. Meir would say, Chayvan levar shalish brachas b'chol yom. Person has to say 3 brachas every day. Be'eluhein. These brachas are Shasani Yisrael, that he made me a Jew. Shleasani Isha, Shleasani Bor, that he didn't make me a woman and he didn't make me an ignoramus. Now,
It's interesting, that's not what
we don't say Shasani, we say Shalayasani Guy. I remember a Magen Avram about this. I think the Magen Avram was saying that if you would say that he made me a Jew, then you wouldn't be able to say the other brachas of Shasani Eved, Shasani Isha, because you would have covered everything. What we say is, who did not make me a non-Jew, okay, and who did not make me a woman, okay, did not make me a slave. Okay. You still have what to add. But if you would say Shasani Yisrael, you wouldn't be able to add the other ones. If I remember correctly, the question is over there in that Magen Avram, when you say Yisrael, if you automatically mean that you're not a woman. That was like an interesting point in there. It's interesting that over here, I wonder if what the Quran says. It says Shasani Yisrael. I wonder if the Quran said Shlayasani Goy. Maybe there's a different version. This could be a classic censor.
Say sky blue.
With the numbing vision.
There's our answer. All this, because it's a censor. Yeah. I got to read this too. Yes, yeah. That whole discussion was because of a censored thing. Okay, here it says in the Quran, the original manuscript said Shlayasani Goy. It didn't say Shasani Yisrael. It did not make me a Gentile. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Can you imagine someone saying, "Oh, you have a Gemara that says Shasani Yisrael. What are you guys doing this?" It turns out that
several parties familiar with the Isera Hama matter have testified to the following.
So,
I'm not sure. We say that every day because get on a shama.
Right.
That we get
Right. Right. Why do converts say Shalaya Sani Gai? Because they get in Shama every day, right?
Why is the term goy being used instead of? I mean, where goy gadol?
The term Ovid Kechavim is used in more recent books to tell me, for the censor to say, oh, we're not referring to the Goyim today. We're referring to the Ovid Kechavim, the people that worship stars back then. But you guys are good. That's the Ovid Kechavim was replacing that. But originally the word was probably Goy, any nation, right?
But how can you make a bracha from Sunny goy if we are goy gadol?
Oh, I hear that's question. Okay.
We didn't make me.
Yeah. So here, this is in Siman Mem Vav, Halacha Daled. There's also 3 brachas that a person has to make every day: Shleisani Goy, Shleisani Yaved, Shleisani Isha. Even if someone is taken captive, you should still say Shleisani Yaved, because it doesn't have to do with freedom from slavery. It has to do with if he's chayav b'mitzvahs. A ger should say, according to the first opinion, Shasani ger. You shouldn't say Shleisani Goy, because he was a guy. But nevertheless, he says Shleisani Yaved. Okay. Then he says, Yeshayimrim, no. So the second opinion here, Yeshayimrim, Shein Levarach Shasani ger, because he chose to be Jewish. It's not Shasani ger that you made me. That was his choice. Okay. According to the Mekabalim, that this has to do with the neshama at night, that it wasn't attached to his neshama didn't get attached to some other neshamas. So then, even a ger says Shleisani Goy and Shleisani Yaved Shleisani Isha. Yeah. Over here it says women say the bracha Shasani Kirtzainai. Made me according to his will, and this is sort of like a Dayan Emes type of bracha.
Oh, say that to a woman.
Yeah, I can't say this. Okay, there's a lot of things in here that should not be mentioned. Okay, so you'll see. It's I got to show you this Rashi. Oh my gosh. You see this in the same. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, everything could be explained. You just have to say it properly. But Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Shamil Lebrei Dahavi Kamevarich Shleisani Bur. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. Oh, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. He's the one in Kedushin that he sent his son to yeshiva, but he didn't learn well. He hears his son saying, Shleisani Bur. He didn't make me a bor. The Hebrew word bor is the English word bor also. A bor.
Like the animal?
BOA.
No,
like
crust.
A
He
boar.
doesn't know any.
Yeah, a boar is like an
It's in a
ignoramus.
pig
Is a
family,
boar.
right?
No, that's the animal, but a boar could also mean an ignoramus. So you're saying shleis ani boar? You
Oh,
didn't make me
boar.
an ignoramus. Amarle, Ravach B'Yaakov says kulei hainami. Is that what you say? That you're praising that you're not an Amoritz? Amalei v'alamay mavarach. What am I supposed to say? He says, Shleis ani Aved. You want me to say Shleis ani Aved? Hainu Isha. It's the same thing. Now, I would like the pshat to be that the same mitzvahs, a woman is chayiv, Eved is chayiv in the mitzvahs that a woman is chayiv. Rashi says, Isha nami shifcha labayla keved l'rabbi, that a woman is a servant to her husband like a slave is a servant to the master. That would not go over well.
No, definitely.
Now we have equal household chores. 50.
Equal rights
You
of
make the
women.
dinner on Monday, I make it on Tuesday, right? That's the.
I think something like that was said about.
That the woman will be a terrorist by would be, yes.
Ignoramus.
No, but historically, the men went out to work and the women took care of the house. So that would be like. Okay. Listen, Eved, I knew Isha. So the Gemara says that his father tells him back. Ravach B'Yaakov says, Eved zil tvei. No. An Eved is worse than a slave. Is not a woman. But we don't say, whatever the case is, we don't say shleis ani bor. Okay. Tan Rabbanan started in a brisa. Chilazain, the snail that you were talking about, the fish. Zehu gufay yam. The body is similar to the color of the ocean. Riyasai daimeladag. It's a snail.
It's like a conch.
Its appearance looks like a fish.
Like a conch.
And it comes up once every 70 years. And with its blood, they dye the tchelis. Since it only comes up once in 70 years, that's why it's very expensive. You got to hear this Gemara. You didn't hear this Gemara before. This is going to be like a shocker. Okay, Tanya. Starting in Rabbi Summer of Nassim. Nassim says, every light mitzvah in the Torah, there's no light mitzvah in the Torah that doesn't have its reward in this world. And in the world to come, we don't even know what the reward's going to be. So this, okay. We say that there's no reward for this world. I'm not sure. Right. Karen, right. I'm not sure exactly how to reconcile this. Okay, whatever the case is, there's rewards for the light mitzvahs. Let me tell you a story. Listen to what happened with tzitzis. There was a story.
This is a wild story. It's the bunk bed story.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They're telling me to look at a Sefer Ben Yecha B'Rav that has a good shot in it in the story. But just 1 second, let me see if they quote the Ben Yecha B'Rav. We're on Daf Mem Dalet.
He has no filter.
Yes, fine. You mean it's censored? Our Gemara is censored? No. I don't think it's. I don't know anything that's censored here in this Gemara. You say there's something censored?
Yeah. He just uses prostitute.
No, they don't have it. They're not quoting the Ben Yecha B'Rav there. Supposed to have a good shot in this whole Gemara. Okay. So the Gemara says like this. There's a person, he was very careful with the mitzvah of tzitzit. And what happened was, he heard that there's a prostitute in the islands that takes 400 gold coins as a payment. So he sent her the 400 coins, and they designated a time, put it on his calendar. The time comes, he comes and he sits on the entranceway. Her servant goes into her and she tells her, sounds like she didn't have a lot of business because they said, oh, you know that guy
that sucker they sent you that much
one
money.
person that it happens he arrived. So otherwise it would have been termed differently. Whatever the case is, that guy that sent you the 400 coins is waiting. Amra he yikanis. So she said, let him enter. Nichnas. He comes in. Itila shevamitis. She had arranged for him, set up 7 beds. Sheshel kesev achshel zav. 6 of them were silver and 1 of them was gold. Ben kalachas vachas sulam shel kesev. And in between each one, there was a silver ladder. I wonder how that would hold. Silver sounds a little soft to climb up. Well, yaina shel zav, sulam shel kesev. All of them had a silver ladder. The top one had a golden ladder. Also, she was sitting. She went up and she sat on the top one when she was naked.
Wait, were the beds silver? The first 6 beds, not the ladders.
No, he says the 7 beds. 6 are silver,
and the top one
was gold. And in between each one was a ladder of silver, but the top one was gold.
Beds were silver.
Right. So the top golden bed had a golden ladder. So he also went up to sit naked next to her. The tzitzis came and struck him on his face. Must have been on the bottom, and a miracle. It's a miracle. They came up and they hit him in his face. So Nishmat, he slipped away. V'yashav le'al gabi karki, goes to the ground. Afi nishmat v'yashav gabi karki. She also slipped up and came to the ground. Amrullah, she said, Gapa, Shel Rami. That's like the king or the king of Rome. It's like a way of taking an oath. What's going on over here with the word Gapa?
The Caesars
was a pay. Oh, what happened was the original word was the yud, the gimel was really a yud, and the vav, and the pay was really a vav. Yeah, but gapa is like a mispronunciation of saying God. Basically, she's saying she swears. I'm not leaving you unless you tell me what blemish you saw me. Why weren't you interested in me? Amarlah. She says to her, Havaida, I swear, I never saw anyone so beautiful. But Hashem gave us one mitzvah. It's called tzitzis. It says, I am Hashem your God twice. That means I am Hashem your God. I'm going to give punishment. I'm going to give reward. Achshva, now the 4 tzitzis, they're like 4 witnesses, like in front of me, like cameras. Amralai. So she said to him, Eni manichacha, chatemli mashimcha, mashimircha, mashim rabcha, mashim midrashcha, shatalamed b'Torah. I'm not leaving you. You have to tell me your name, your city, your teacher, and your yeshiva. Kasav and Asan, the other. He wrote it down, he gave it to her. Amda v'chilka kol nechaseh. She got up, she divided all her possessions. Shlish l'malchus. She had to pay off the government. Shlish la'aniyim. The third she gave to the poor. Why'd she have to do that? Because she was a righteous person. And because the Ben Yehuda says, so that the Satan shouldn't affect her, wanted to convert. Shlish not l'biyada. And the third she takes in her hands, chutz me'asem matzos. The only thing she didn't sell were those mats, were those beds. Basel l'beis midrash shel Reb Chia. She comes to Reb Chia. So some say that it wasn't Reb Chia, it was Reb Meir, because it's Reb Nassan that's teaching this. Reb Nassan was after Reb Chia. Anyway, Amrullah, she says to him, Rebbe, Tzavi Alav Yasuni Gieris, instruct me, I want to become a convert. Amrullah, Biti Shemei Nechen Asata Bechen Metalmidim. Says, my daughter, maybe you desired one of the boys in the yeshiva, and that's why you're converting. So she takes out the note and she gives it to him, and she tells him the story about the miracle of the tzitzis that hit him on his face. Amarlah, so this Reb Meir, Reb Chia says to her, L'chi zechi b'mikchech. Go and acquire your purchase. Those beds that you prepared for sin, now you'll prepare for permissibility. That's Tesvav. Pesach Einayim, the Chida writes, Asher tem zaynim acharayim, that we say in the parsha that talks about tzitzis, not to follow the eyes, that your eyes would stray. So the word acharayim, he says, is Rosh Tevis. No. Atem zaynim acharayim. The word atem zaynim acharayim is Rosh Tevis. Oisei Talmud Maskir Zayna Noah Yise'ena Megiyeres Mibeis Medrash Reb Chia. Yeah.
I think it's just a mnemonic to remember.
Cute.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Did she actually swear or not swear at the beginning? She says, I'm going to swear whether if it's in the deity as opposed to Caesar's name.
She's fine.
So I thought a Jew is not allowed to have a situation where, because of something they're doing, they're making the guy swear.
Right. That's why you shouldn't have a partner, a non-Jewish partner.
We learned that. So how will we explain that?
Well, he was going to sin, so he wasn't the most frum guy, right? And she swore. It wasn't like this. She happened to swear about
Okay. Question number two. I'm not sure I totally buy that. Number two. I thought you can't megayir someone.
That's a good question.
Get married.
That's a good question. Yeah, everyone, Dr. Stein's question?
No.
He said, how are you allowed to be megayir if it's just for marriage?
But
Why not?
She was pointed.
She obviously was impressed with this boy. That means for marriage.
But impressed with the
She
fear of
didn't
heaven.
know anything about the religion at all.
Yeah.
But she was impressed by the fear of heaven. That's why she wanted to go then. And then when she showed, and she was honest.
So he's saying that you're allowed to, if you like his fear of heaven, you're allowed to convert for his fear of heaven.
It wasn't for the boy. She was just impressed. She'd never seen something like that. And she was honest. She gave the rabbi the paper with all the information. And then the rabbi was the one that told her, look, go
But
get
that's
married.
like a mail order bride. She gave the name of the person she wanted to marry. It could be, I don't know that I buy it.
It didn't
I'll
say
tell you
that
the
it was planned marriage.
pshat is that the problem, why do we not accept converts for marriage? Because we think that they're really not sincere. They're doing it for just the marriage, but they don't really want the religion. So, but here, she was doing it because she wants the religion. They happen to be marriage also, but she was impressed with the religion, and that's why she was converting. So it doesn't have the problem of the marriage. Problem of marriage is maybe it's not sincerely for Hashem. Here it was clearly for Hashem. She was impressed with the fear of heaven.
Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Third question is,
Thank
I
you.
thought what we learned from this is not this wild story, but the fact that the items that were all used for negative purposes, meaning the 7 beds, in the end were the items that were turned over to become for positive purposes.
So you're preempting the Gemara's conclusion. The Gemara concludes, Those beds that you sent. This is what Reb Nosson said, that you get the reward of the mitzvah in this world, but in the world to come, you don't know. It means he ends up with these beds, and because of the mitzvah of tzitzis.
The silver and gold.
Yeah, that's the reward in this world. Yeah, I think the Bali Muslims say that any desire, any pleasure that a person is supposed to get, he can get it also in a permissible way. He doesn't have to get it in a he's supposed to get. So here he could have had the pleasure with her sin, but he ends up having it with her in a permissible way.
It says that there's like something that tastes like pigs. Like Hashem gave us the equivalent. We don't have to.
Right.
What bagels?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
No, Yalta, the Gemara in Chulin. Yeah, Yalta asked her husband.
I remember
Rabbi,
Yeah.
if the prostitute decides she wants to marry the man,
Yeah.
she's marrying, and it started out marrying for money, but then, like you said, she develops a fear of Hashem.
Right.
Then it's okay
Yeah.
to get married, right?
Right.
The fear of Hashem was first.
I'm Rabbi Yehuda.
Because the other way it doesn't work.
I'm Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says Talis Sheula, Baru Talis, Kol Shleishim Yom P'ter Min HaTzitzis. All 30 days is exempt from tzitzis mikan ve'elach. But after 30 days, chayeves. So the first 30 days is exempt. Why? Why is it? It has to be 30 days that you didn't return it at all in the middle. Why after 30 days is it chayev? Okay, something switches. There's also a brisa, Adar B'Pundaki Beretz Yisrael, someone that lives in a hotel, in an inn in Israel, someone that rents a house in Chutz La'aretz, Kol Shleish Meim Patur Min HaMezuzah. The first 30 days you're exempt from mezuzah, mikan ve'elach, but after that, chayev. After 30 days, then you're going to be chayev. Now, aval aseicher bayis Beretz Yisrael, but if someone rents a house, not that he's staying in an inn, but someone rents a house in Eretz Yisrael, leisim mezuzah l'altim mishum yishuv d'Eretz Yisrael. He has to put up a mezuzah immediately because of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Now, there's different interpretations why he has to put up a mezuzah right away because of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. One interpretation is we want him to stay in Israel, and if he puts up a mezuzah and he can't take it down, he say, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I should just stay here anyway. I can't take the mezuzah down. I'll just live here." Another one is so that all the houses in Israel should be protected. We don't want him to take it off, so we have him put it up right away. That's also part of the Yishuv, that there should always be protection. Eretz Yisrael should always be protected. Yeah.
Reminds me when we discussed what Houdini.
Yeah, he played a banging mezuzah on his doors.
On the hotel.
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah. Tefillah shel yad ein ma'akeves. The Mishnah said that the tefillin shel yad doesn't affect the shel rosh, and the shel rosh doesn't affect the shel yad. If you only have one, that's what you put on. Rav Chizda, look at this. Rav Chizda says, Leishanu ala sheyesh lai. When do we say that it doesn't affect? That's because you own it. You have both. And then you only put on one, we say that's acceptable. Aval ein lai. But if you don't even have the other one, then it's a problem. Yeah. Amr lai. They said to Rav Chizda, Amrit, you really think so? You really say this? Amr lahu lai. And he says, no, I don't say that. In other words, he retracted from what his statement was. Alaman the less they train mitzvah, chad mitzvah leilavid, chad mitzvah leilavid. Someone that doesn't have two mitzvahs shouldn't do one mitzvah. This is like a big Yetzirah, and says, I'm not going to finish Shas anyway, so why should I learn today? Right? Says, no, that doesn't work like that. You do every mitzvah you have, you do. So, Mikara Maisavra, what was Rav Chizda thinking when he started? It says Gzeir Shem Yifsha. He thought maybe that there should be a Gzeira, that if you only have to do one mitzvah, then maybe you won't buy the other one, and you'll be satisfied with just one. So he said, no, you have to have both. Once you have both, then you can decide if you're going to put on both, or you put on one. You want to do one mitzvah, two mitzvah, you have to have both. That was his original thought.
You have to put on both?
You have to put on the shel yad and the shel rosh, but if you only put on one,
You have to make up the mitzvah somewhere else.
you only put on one, you still fulfill that mitzvah. The mitzvah of one. Right? Each one is an independent mitzvah. Rav Sheshis. Don't put on, if you don't wear tefillin, It's a neglect of 8 positive commands. Someone that doesn't wear tzitzis, or doesn't put tzitzis on his garment, he's neglecting 5 positive commands. A kohen that doesn't go up to say the blessing, he's neglecting 3 positive commands. If you don't put up a mezuzah, it's a neglect of 3, because it says uchsavtam. You should write it. It says twice. Anyone that wears tefillin, his days are lengthened.
Is this the terminology always used in the Gemara for when you don't do a naseh over a aseh? Because I think of over on a low taseh.
No, it says bittel. Over here it says bittel, right?
No, each one.
It says over. You're right.
Over
aseh, yeah. It means bittel. Okay. Interesting thesis over here. The kohen would only violate it if he's being called up. They only say the word koyanim. They only say that if there's more than one kohen there. So this violation will only be if there's more than one kohen.
So if there's only one kohen,
then there wouldn't be. They do duchen, but there wouldn't be the biblical violation of him not going if he didn't go. Anyway, so it says, Shenemar Hashem Aleim Yichyu Ulechol Bohen Chayi Ruchi V'Tachlimeni V'Achiyeni. It says Hashem upon them they will live. What does it mean Hashem upon them? That means that they have Hashem on them. That means that they're wearing tefillin. We said the tefillin has Hashem's name on it, and all in them is my life, my spirit. Tachlimeni means like healing. V'Achiyeni is also they give me life. Okay, let's leave it over here. We're up to the Mishnah. Okay?
So if you don't do 100 commands, mitzvahs, in each day, blessings, then do you get to make it up the next day?
Each day. Yeah, each day. Have a good week, everyone.